Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. When you are designing how clients get data from your backend systems, the choice of API architectural style is fundamental. For years, REST has been the undistributed king, but more recently, GraphQL has emerged as a powerful alternative, especially for complex client applications. In system design interviews, discussing these two and articulating why you would choose one over the other is absolutely crucial. Today, we are diving into the core differences, pros and cons, and when to apply each. Okay, so let's just make a quick recap of REST. So, what is REST? REST is short for representational state transfer. It is an architectural style that leverages standard HTTP protocols to interact with the resources. There is a resources, something like slash, what is the problem? Yeah, something like slash users, for example. This is called a resource, or products, or orders, or whatever it will be. And it uses a standard HTTP methods. You use like something like get, maybe post, maybe put, things like that. Also, you could use multiple endpoints for different resources. Like for example, users slash the user ID slash products. So the products of the user, things like that. Okay. So no, before we go next, we need to talk about something, which is REST is here. REST is popular because it's simple, use web standards, and is highly catchable. However, it often suffers from two key problems that GraphQL aims to solve, which is overfetching, which is getting more data than you need, and underfetching, which is need multiple requests to get all the related data. So, what is GraphQL? The concept of GraphQL. GraphQL is a query language for your API. Instead of multiple fixed endpoints, you typically expose a single endpoint, something like slash GraphQL. Okay, the client here sends a query that explicitly specifies exactly what data fields and relationships it needs. The server then returns precisely that data. The analogy of this one, if REST API is like a restaurant with fixed menu, GraphQL is like a custom ordering system where you would like or you will tell the chef precisely what ingredients you want in your dish. The key idea here is it shifts data fetching from being server-driven to client-driven, giving clients immense flexibility. Okay, so now we would talk about REST versus GraphQL, the core difference and the trade-offs. First, we start with data fetching. REST is server-driven. Clients receive fixed response from fixed endpoints. This leads to overfetching, like getting a full user profile when only the name is needed, or underfetching, basically needing to make one request for user and another one for the orders. We have GraphQL, which is client-driven. Clients will precisely specify needed fields in a single query, solves overfetching and underfetching, and reduce round trips. Next, we have endpoints. REST, multiple distinct endpoints for distinct resources like slash users, slash products, things like that. GraphQL typically a single point, only one single point, which is slash GraphQL. QL. Next, we will talk about protocol and status code. In the REST, it's fully leveraged HTTP semantic verbs like get, post, put, delete, clear HTTP status code like 200, which is awk, 404, which is not found, 500, which is internal server error. GraphQL often uses HTTP post with a JSON body. It abstracts away HTTP verbs, and most GraphQL responses, even with logical errors, returns a 200 awk states with errors embedded in the response body. Can complicate the standard HTTP monitoring. Next, we have caching, and this one is big. REST has excellent standard HTTP caching capabilities, CDNs, proxy caches, and browser caches. It's great at that and can easily cache REST response based on URL and headers. GraphQL suffers here. Caching is more complex in GraphQL. Since queries can be dynamic, standard HTTP caching by URL doesn't work well. Caching usually needs to be happen at the client side. So you use something like Apollo clients, which to normalized cache, or you will use a custom GraphQL aware cache layer. Okay. Complexity, I guess it's quite obvious here. RESTful is quite simpler to implement initially for basic APIs. Tooling is mature and and quite easy to understand. GraphQL here is steeper learning curve for both client and servers. Server side involves implementing complex resolvers to fulfill clients' queries. Here, next we have schema and typing. And REST often informal for documents separately, basically no built-in schema enforcement. There is no built-in schema enforcement in REST. And GraphQL has a strong built-in system and schema definition. SDL, which is a schema definition language. This allows for clients introspection. Basically, clients can discover the API's capabilities and strong type checking. Okay, so when to choose which in system design? So I would say use RESTful API or REST. It's when simplicity and quick development are priorities. Also, when your data models are relatively simple and don't have deeply nested or complex relationships that require frequent joins, or also when you are building public-facing APIs where board compatibility, standard HTTP caching, and easy debugging are quite essential. Also, you can use it when your team has existing RESTful API expertise. On the other hand, you could choose GraphQL when you're building a mobile-first or complex UI application where network requests and fetching precise data are critical for performance. Also, when you need to aggregate data from many microservices into a single client view. Also, when you want to reduce the number of client servers round trips. Also, when the client needs flexible data query capabilities that evolves rapidly. So in system design interview, define both clearly. In your system design interview, you need to define both clearly. Then you need to always present the trade-offs between them. Justify your choice based on the client type, data complexity, performance needs, and team expertise. For instance, I would say something like that. For our mobile app, I would go with GraphQL to solve over and under fetching and reduce round trips despite the caching complexity. For our public integration API, REST is better for simplicity and standard tooling, for things like that. And that's it for this video, and see you in the future.